It was getting dark, and the evening found two lovers in passionate embraces of each other. The girl asked her partner why he kissed her. The full moon shone through their window. He answered her simply and reminded her that she herself wanted him to help her forget about everything that happened before. And for this he had to change everything, even his appearance. Letitia Violette lay on the bed with sad, tear-filled eyes. He stretched, playing with his muscular torso, and wondered why she was drawn to him when she had lost everything. Letitia lay and sadly looked at the ceiling. Her husband left her. He left her for someone else. She cried and thought how bad it was that he again reminded her of her spiritual tragedy. The guy again felt sorry for the girl. He hugged her and kissed her tenderly. At that moment she thought that he was perfect and had no flaws. Everything was so fast that Letitia could not understand how it all happened. She was sure of one thing. She was very happy in his arms. A young woman was drinking coffee from an elegant cup, and suddenly her husband suggested that she get a divorce. She decided it was a bad joke on the day they were supposed to celebrate their wedding anniversary. Her handsome husband, Astor Winchester, dispelled her doubts with the words that he really fell in love with someone else. He told her that his new love was a simple woman who was not inclined to think about the eternal. Meanwhile, Letitia's hand nervously squeezed the hem of her skirt. The woman could not stand it. She leaned over her husband sitting at the table and angrily asked him if he was going to continue talking about divorce again. At the same time, Astor was already telling his mistress that he was finally able to pay off his debts. Letitia screamingly asked where her husband got the money to pay his debts. The man also answered her in a raised voice and shouted that he was able to return the entire amount of the investment. True, he was a little overdue, the handsome man admitted. Winchester had always been selfish, and the blonde thought he would remain so. Astor continued to drink tea from an elegant mug and listened to cries about his inability to perceive his mistakes. Our family went bankrupt. Letitia continued to scream out of her mind. My father had to take extreme actions. The woman's scream began to turn into hysterics. Money doesn't mean anything, but society's attitude changes the moment you lose your status. My father went bankrupt at one time precisely because he was unable to receive his investments on time. As a result, he committed suicide. Astor got the money for one simple reason. He was her husband, and she was her father's favorite daughter. Letitia continued to shout at her husband. Astor at this time angrily recalled the moment when Letitia's father asked him if he was ready to marry his daughter. Letitia again thought that if it were not for her mistress, her husband would not have decided to leave her. But Astor at this time was tormented by more mercantile thoughts. He was worried whether he would be able to receive compensation. And in general, maybe it's already enough to talk about money. The black-haired handsome man was completely angry. And what will the compensation change? Will my father come to life? Letitia continued to be hysterical. She didn't think her husband would be so mean. What a naive fool she turns out to be. Again, she thought Astor with her anger and hostility. The husband could not stand it and shouted back that this whole story had long been in the past. Immediately, Letitia heard that her words, screams, and moralizing had already begun to strain her husband. She realized that she was tired of him. She was too emotional, and this stressed her husband and prevented him from building a good relationship with her. The man was tired of the scandal, and he finally decided to say that he was simply tired of the marriage. Letitia stood in pitch darkness, cried and listened to his words that it was high time for him to think about divorce. He talked about how hard it was for him to look at her sad face. The black-haired macho said that at such moments he felt like a real beast. Astor asked his wife to give him a divorce and stop this agony. He talked about how he also wanted to finally become happy, build his own family, and be happy with his beloved. Letitia was stunned by her husband's words, and she sadly lowered her head. The woman told him that she was against divorce because she wanted a child. She wanted this child to be like her. But you can't give birth, Astor answered harshly. Angry, the wife tore the wedding ring off her hand and angrily threw it on the floor. How dare he talk about the child? Letitia thought. The woman was sitting on a bench in the yard and thinking about why she became infertile. After all, it was he who pushed her down the stairs, and she lost the opportunity to have children. Of course, he then asked for forgiveness, but it was already too late. In return for his terrible deed, he promised to take her as his wife. She was still just a child, and the word wedding not only made her happy, but on the contrary, even frightened her. The upcoming wedding was supposed to be a repentance for him. As an adult, Letitia reminded Astor of his promise to marry and live together for the rest of their lives. He was kneeling in front of the young woman, and the maid was watching them from afar. It was Liana whom Astor loved more than life itself. Liana heard the promise of a wedding and burst into tears. How could her beloved do this to her? The mother came out of the house. She was looking for Letitia. The mother did not feel sorry for the girl. On the contrary, she blamed her for not protecting her body. Letitia cried, and Aster's mother gloated and said that no one needed her barren. The mother turned to the father and asked if he had anything final to say. The gray-haired man approached Letitia and said that he knew very well how much effort she had put into making sure everything was fine. Hugging her, he clarified that effort and work alone are not enough for a relationship. The mother cruelly hurried. All your things have been collected and are waiting for you at the entrance. Go away. Appreciate our kindness. We even provided you with a carriage. Letitia looked at her things and got the impression that they had been waiting for her for a long time, even before the divorce was signed. The girl was still standing at the porch when a tub of water poured onto her from above. Olivia Winchester, Ader's sister who poured the water, apologized and pretended that she did not notice Letitia standing near the house and therefore poured water on her. Annie smiled maliciously from the balcony and looked at Letitia, who was soaking wet. The black-haired beauty continued to laugh on the balcony and express malicious concerns about whether it was cold for the wet woman below. Letitia stood below and cried. She was cold, wet, and very, very upset. This is still a grandmother's dress, and Annie continued to sneer. I would, of course, really want to show you around, but unfortunately I'm sorely short of time. Olivia continued to sneer. Letitia continued to cry and suddenly saw Aster with his new passion. He walked around the palace with her and talked about preparing the room for the guest. Letitia thought in horror that the guest would get her room. Letitia rushed back to the castle in a rage. How can it be? It can't be. You can't behave like this, she shouted to the newcomer. The girl was furious. Resentment squeezed her throat and tears kept flowing from her eyes. The servants could barely handle her. Had she never been treated like family in this house, Letitia wondered? And then she remembered how her husband's parents looked gloatingly at those moments when he swore at her and beat her. My mother especially rejoiced at such moments, but Aster's sister was no less pleased with the family scandals. No, this palace has always been foreign to her. She was never perceived here as a full member of the family. Aster finally divorced you? Asked the striking brunette with a bright yellow fan in her hands. You managed to do this right on your wedding anniversary. With her head sadly bowed, Letitia entered the hall where her stepmother was sitting and apologized. She looked longingly at the photograph of her late father that stood on the dresser. Was it really not enough for your Aster that he bankrupted us? A beautiful and still relatively young woman was yelling at poor Letitia. With her head bowed, the girl listened to accusations that it was because of her, and because of her husband that her father committed suicide. You disgraced me, and then you had the audacity to return to this house. The stepmother drove Letitia away with a scream. And how could she even come to this house? Her father's widow was simply beside herself with anger. Get out of here, scoundrel. You have no right to be in this house. The stepmother was so angry that it seemed that she was going to attack her with her fists. The stepmother said that Letitia should never dare to return home and defame the memory of her father and her late husband. Letitia recalled her childhood, the time when she was so happy next to her father, and then a terrible thought knocked on her bright head. The woman did not have the strength to fight the world that had rebelled against her, and she decided to commit suicide by jumping into the river. Suddenly Aster appeared in front of her with his mistress. They asked her what she was doing here all alone. In the gaze of the black-haired handsome man there was not a drop of compassion, only contempt and even disgust. At the same time he gently held his new passion by the cheek and was worried that she would not slip. Lianka Snozer had long been Aster's mistress, and expressed a desire to speak with Letitia personally. Aster gently hugged the girl and replied that of course he had nothing against it, and was ready to indulge all her whims. The mistress came up and asked Letitia's friend if everything was okay. Aren't you cold here? She even noticed how cold the woman's hands were. With almost childish naivety, Lianka invited Letitia to take a walk together. She was very upset when the girl, being upset, refused her. It turns out that Miss Snozer wanted to talk to Aster's wife about what happened before her father died. Letitia was incredibly surprised by what she heard. How does this young lady know what happened? She thought. Lianka was very happy that Aster's ex-wife finally heard her. She continued to ask Letitia if she treasured her father. The woman was very surprised. She couldn't understand why her husband's mistress was talking about her father, and how she even knew about him, and everything that had happened. Lianka continued to drag Letitia out for a walk. She finally intrigued me when she threatened that if the woman did not decide to go now, She would never hear the secret again. Fearing treachery and cruelty from a woman who seduced a married man, Letitia followed suit. Having come to her senses a little, Letitia decided to take revenge for her father's memory and slapped Lianka in the face. But instead of tears and hysteria, Lianka laughed and called the girl funny. She continued to torment Letitia, asking if she found her father's behavior before suicide strange. Can people who are ready to commit suicide behave this way? At a minimum, the father should have left a will. Letitia remembered that her father had not changed his previous will before his death. Lianka refuted her thoughts, saying that her father was going to indicate one heiress in his will. Her name is Letitia Violette, but he did not have time to change his will and no one knew why this happened. Letitia asked the young insidious creature who knew so much about her family's past, who actually benefited from the fact that her father did not change the will. And then it occurred to her that we were talking about Ksenia, her stepmother. At this moment, Letitia's father simply took pity on the widow with an orphaned child and married her. By the way, she was also a distant relative of the Violette family. It turns out that if her father had managed to change his will, then Letitia would now be a wealthy lady and would not need anything, and the stepmother could not become the head of the house. Suddenly, Letitia was struck by a terrible thought. The father is not mindful of his death, and Ksenia's ex-husband probably also died not because of illness. Lianka saw that Letitia did not particularly trust her. Therefore, she suggested going to the village and finding witnesses of those years. The only thing Letitia couldn't understand was why her husband's mistress was helping her. But Lianka explained that she also really didn't like Ksenia. Letitia couldn't believe her ears. It turns out that while pretending to be drunk, Ksenia really clung to Aster. Many people have seen such a picture, so Ksenia will not be able to get away with it. It seemed that Lianka truly sympathized with Letitia. But it was all a deception. She meanly stuck a knife in Aster's ex-wife. Letitia didn't even have time to really get scared. She looked at her husband's mistress with wide eyes. She threw the body of the poor fellow into the river without any twinge of conscience. At the same time, she also called Letitia a fool who had no idea what happened to her father. Lianka enjoyed her cruelty and was glad that Letitia would soon meet her father. The woman was diving underwater and was in great pain. It hurts not from the knife, but from the fact that she believed in her family and lived for them. It turned out that it was in vain. She remembered again how happy she was when her father was still alive. Suddenly, right under the water, she heard a voice calling her to stop crying. She didn't have time to come to her senses before she found herself in the arms of a handsome blonde man. He pulled her out of the water and talked about how good she was and how well done she was. Letitia came to her senses and could not understand where she was. The wound no longer bothered her. A young handsome man entered the room, the same blonde one. He saw that the girl had already woken up. He stood in the doorway and gently reproached her, reminding her how she bothered him at night when she asked him to constantly hug her. Letitia stood upright in her nightgown and couldn't believe her eyes. Standing before her in person was Emperor Sionian himself from the miracle state of Westeros. The blue-eyed handsome man confirmed with a smile that everything was correct. He was the Emperor of Westeros. The woman wanted to know why he saved her. She asked him about it. The Emperor said that first she must answer whether she is the blood child of Count Violet and the daughter-in-law of the Marquis of Winchester. With tears in her eyes, the girl listened to his next question about how she ended up in the river and even with a knife from her chest. The memories made her grab the still aching wound with her hand. The Emperor reminded her that it was he who stopped the bleeding and ensured that the wound did not fester. It was he who did everything possible to save poor Letitia. Langaro Mahashan, the adjutant, shouted at the door. He was shocked by what he saw, by what the Emperor was doing. Without any fear, the adjutant scolded the blonde for the fact that the girl had not yet really come to her senses, and he was already tormenting her with questions. The man also asked if she was scared when she woke up in a new place. It turns out they were on a ship. It was from aboard the Westeros liner that the Emperor noticed Letitia drowning. The girl thought about what kind of magic this is. Westeros itself, a fairy tale state where God finally lived. This is probably why such an unusual child was born into the family. Due to his divine abilities, he was called Salt. The Emperor began to reassure Letitia that the liner had changed direction, and they were no longer sailing to the east. The girl did not understand what was happening. The handsome man began his story by discovering her in the river while exploring the outskirts of the city. About a week after her rescue, she was still on the verge of life and death. The girl wondered if the Emperor always treated in such an unusual way. During the treatment, he constantly touched her skin, Remembering all the horrors, Letitia asked if he told her family that she had survived. The emperor replied that the houses had already begun to prepare for her funeral. It turns out that Ksenia spread rumors that, being depressed after the death of her father, Letitia also committed suicide by throwing herself into a raging river. The emperor saw the knife in the brunette's chest and therefore did not believe a single word of his family. The emperor met with Aster and asked, "Did Ksenia stick a knife and throw the girl into the water? After all, she was the last one to see her." Letitia overheard the conversation and said that it was definitely not Ksenia who did this act. She reported that her husband's mistress, Lianka Snoweyser, threw her into the river. The emperor immediately remembered the girl with blue hair and amazing violet eyes. He also remembered how the deceitful girl cried at the funeral. Immediately, the emperor asked Letitia if she was going to return to her husband again. The girl nervously clutched the hem of her dress and thought that it would be better if she died then than experience such shame. And suddenly, gathering all her will into a fist, Letitia thought that she had absolutely no need to die. She'd better come up with her own plan and take revenge on them all for her suffering. The emperor came into her room and said that he had an interesting proposal. He wanted to help and offer Letitia a plan for the perfect revenge. His plan was so cruel that all of Letitia's ill-wishers had to wish themselves dead. His Majesty was confident that by listening to his girl, she would not only take revenge, but also regain her position in society and her rightful inheritance. His confidence was transferred to the young woman, and she believed that she could take back her life. The only thing that worried Letitia was what she would pay for her help. She asked the handsome emperor about this. Smiling, the emperor confirmed that of course he would demand payment from her. The girl lay and thought that Letitia Violette Winchester had died forever. Letitia sank. What else would she have to do? The emperor liked her resourcefulness. He sat down on Letitia's bed and told her that the one who killed the person dear to him lived in Noterland. To find out who he is, Letitia will have to enter high society and declassify him. It was this role that the emperor assigned to Letitia. This was his payment for help. The emperor promised to give her a new life and a new status. Thanks to his superpowers, the emperor promised to turn her into a completely different person. He could make sure that Letitia's relatives would not be able to recognize her. This surprised the woman very much. Could this handsome blonde man really be able to change her appearance? The emperor smiled mysteriously and answered the girl that everything was under his control. After all, he is the almighty Salt. At the same time, the handsome blonde was thinking that Letitia was surprised whether he should make such sacrifices. Letitia was also puzzled by what was happening. By and large, they are complete strangers to each other. The emperor gently stroked Letitia's cheek and reminded her that they had met at her wedding, which meant they were no longer complete strangers to each other. Taking her hand, the ruler reminded her that he had already given her one very practical piece of advice. And in fact, his advice was for her to get away from Aster Winchester as quickly as possible. Remembering the wedding, everyone remembered that indeed then, in the winter, Salt was invited to the wedding, and his companion was the second prince of Noterland. Even then there were rumors about Salt that it could heal people and remove curses. Could Letitia in those days even imagine that she would be able to see him so close? The blonde handsome man sitting in front of her was the legendary Sionian Salt. Ksenia considered the appearance of such eminent guests there at the wedding to be entirely her merit. After all, it was her best childhood friend who was the mother of the second prince present at the celebration. Ksenia was then very worried about whether the cook would be able to prepare delicious Western dishes. At that time, everyone without exception believed that Letitia's matchmakers were going too far. On the other hand, this is the wedding of my only daughter. Only Aster was against the luxurious holiday. Letitia believed that her lover became so sad because, as you know, when a girl comes to the family, a wife, the son becomes a stranger. Aster's sister Olivia Winchester then really wanted Salt to give the opening speech at the wedding. Most relatives were against it. If the emperor starts speaking, none of the guests will get in a word. But Xenia herself liked the idea of the emperor's speech. Olivia decided to go to the emperor herself and ask him to make a speech. Relatives did not forget to draw Aster's attention to how Olivia was trying to please his young wife. They all told Letitia to learn from Olivia and follow her example. Olivia returned from the emperor and everyone began to ask her if she was able to come to an agreement. She replied that the emperor would agree only when the heroes of the occasion themselves asked him. Ksenia asked Aster to ask His Majesty for a speech. Aster didn't understand at all why he should do this, and why they needed the wedding speech of the handsome emperor. Then the cheerful and good-natured Letitia began to ask her young husband to go to the emperor together and beg him to congratulate them on the holiday. Her main argument was that the emperor's speech could raise the reputation of the Winchester family. There was such a plea in her incredibly beautiful eyes that Aster could not stand it and agreed. When they approached the emperor together, he asked the prince sitting next to him who it was. Letitia and Aster bowed and introduced themselves to His Majesty solely. The emperor laughed at them, surprised that the family was so persistent in their requests. Aster also believed that the congratulations that Salt would say would save the family from poverty. Despite the fact that Salt didn't even bother to remember the names of the newlyweds, he agreed to congratulate them. But suddenly the emperor angrily told Aster that he had no desire to bless his young family for good luck. Aster was beside himself with anger. Lounging imposingly on the sofa, the emperor was thinking. He was angry too. Aster had already regretted that he had decided to turn to the emperor. Having apologized, he headed for the exit. But Letitia held him by his cloak. The young husband was angry. He started shouting at Letitia, reminding her that he initially did not want to go to the emperor. The young wife also regretted that she got involved in a matter that even the more experienced Olivia could not cope with. At this time, the emperor watched from the side as the angry groom abandoned his bride alone right at the wedding. Despite her own offense, Letitia found the strength to apologize to the blonde, handsome man. The young prince, a friend of the emperor, began to calm the girl down. Suddenly, the emperor raised his hand and ordered the girl to stop. It seemed that the handsome man wanted to say something to the girl. Confused, Letitia stopped and immediately heard that the emperor ordered her to leave. She looked blankly because she did not understand the meaning of this phrase. The emperor explained that he wanted Letitia to quickly leave this idiot, Aster. He argued that she could never be happy with such an egoist. He turned around and the girl began to slowly move away from her lover. The blonde looked at her and noticed that she was a fool. Taking his hand, the handsome man noticed that the girl did not listen to him. The guy noticed that most likely the girl loved him that much. The blonde will throw it into the ring and ask the girl to remember what she received in response to this love. The girl noticed that it was as if water had simply been added to a glass of poison. The blonde asked if he really would help her take revenge. "We will answer in the affirmative." The handsome man grinned. With determination in her eyes, the girl declared that she agreed to his proposal. Sionian recalled that they had made a deal. The blonde ordered the girl to kiss his foot. The guy explained that in his sacred state of Westeros there was a custom according to which you need to touch the legs of someone from the royal family with your lips. The handsome man explained that by doing this she would receive a blessing, and this would mean submission and a testament to her life. The girl looked at the guy standing next to her, and I realized that I had already heard about this. The house of the state's royal ancestor was the demigod of Westeros. The demigod received special oaths from his subordinates. Because of this, that custom became a tradition of the royal family. He explained to me that as soon as the girl repairs to him, she will never be able to return to her body. Squeezing the shirt, the girl decided that this was even for the better. Letitia realized that she was stupid because she endured contempt from her insidious mistress until the moment of death. The blonde dedicated all her family's property to her cheating husband. For the blonde who lost her loving father, this was a chance to get rid of the stigma. Looking at Sionian with the eyes of hope, she asked whether he would definitely fulfill his promise. The guy reminded that from now on the girl should bow to him, like a family member, and completely obey. The blonde closed her eyes as if accepting this fate. The magical signs on the handsome man's hands began to give off a white, cold light in the darkness of the night. Sionian asked if the girl was worried. From tension, drops of cold sweat flowed down the girl's face. The blonde explained that she was a little worried about her appearance. Letitia looked at herself in the mirror with delight. The girl suggested that even her parents would not recognize her. Now Letitia's hair color was exactly the same as Aster's. The brunette felt her face and knew that his features had become clearer, and his eyes were much sharper than before. The girl was surprised that Sionian was able to change her face so much just by touching him. The gentleman asked the guy in black if he thought it was a good job. Smiling, he explained that the lady seemed to have stepped out of a painting. Sionian ordered them to complete the image. The guy in black asked Letitia to follow him. The brunette bowed and thanked the wizard. Sionian explained that he did not require thanks. The blonde explained that he wanted the girl to be useful. The guy explained that she had to bend over backwards so that he would not leave her. The guy gently straightened his black hair, wiping his blonde hands. The guy in black explained that he didn't even suspect that the girl was an old acquaintance of His Majesty. Letitia explains that they are not that close. He explained that now they are in the same boat, and now it is difficult to call them strangers. Putting on the last lapis lazuli jewelry, he informed the lady that everything was ready. The blonde explained that he would tell her about his responsibilities. The guy explained that now the girl will live as Anna Rose Victoire. The girl will be the Countess of the Principality of Kant, in the highest circles of this state. The servant said that the girl would have to learn everything she needed in the state of Kant for a year. The brunette asked if she would have to go there. The guy explained that she would have to independently adopt the culture, manner of speech and behavior of local girls. The Principality of Kant was a country in which a girl could become a countess or marquise only if she had enough abilities. In Northland, girls cannot inherit the throne due to ingrained traditions. Therefore, Letitia could not receive the title, even though she was the only newborn child. The brunette liked that she became a resident of Kant, whom she envied so much. The girl, hesitating a little, explained that she had never been there. Letitia said that she had never been anywhere outside of Northland. The brunette asked if she could cope. The servant reassured the girl that in Kant they use the official language of the mainland, and that should be enough for her. The girl suggested that there was a special accent there. Patting the girl on the shoulder, the blonde explained that 1 year seemed like a short time, and promised that he would help her, that no one would suspect anything. Letitia reassured herself that her new appearance, status, and unlimited help would help her. The girl convinced herself that she had to cope. The guy noticed that she started bleeding again. I assumed that blood circulation had accelerated due to the long stay in the hot war. The servant suggested going to His Majesty. Letitia insisted that she was fine. A light blush appeared on the girl's cheeks. The blonde asked the girl not to be stubborn. The guy claimed that His Majesty makes everyone embarrassed. The blonde argued that if she got to know Sionian better, she would become more comfortable. The girl asked what the guy meant. The servant explained that he meant that you should not adapt to his mood or try to please him. The blonde said that only benefit is important to the gentleman. The guy said that His Majesty does not evaluate people for personal reasons. The servant asked the girl not to worry. Letitia stood in front of the door. The question in her head was whether he was that comfortable. Sionian asked what happened. The brunette reported that her wound was bleeding again. Confused, the girl explained that she did not want to bother the gentleman. But Langaro insisted that she go. Sionian, leaning on one of the columns, opened the door and ordered the girl to go through. The blonde gently placed his hand on the girl's shoulder. Letitia wondered why her wound had not yet healed. The gentleman suggested that it was not inflicted with a knife. Sighing heavily, the handsome man explained that it was not because he lacked abilities. Placing her hand on the wound, the girl explained that thanks to him she felt much better. The brunette thanked the guy. The blonde explained that the obligatory owner must take care of the horse. The guy gently ran his hand through his silky hair. Letitia realized that he was stroking her head like a dog. The brunette realized that she had not been stroked like this for a long time. The gentleman asked if she really still had a longing for the past. Letitia explained that she did not leave her life in the past of her own free will. She insisted that her past had been taken away and trampled upon. Looking disapprovingly at the girl, Sionian asked how she got involved with this. The blonde noticed that she did not look like a touchy person. Letitia suggested that in the game it was so easy that you wanted to hurt her at least once. Gently stroking the girl's hand, the handsome man asked why girls in Northland were so attached to their husbands. Sionian remembered that previously in that state, there was a tradition of burying girls alive along with her husband. Look into your eyes. The brunette explained that now everything was not so serious. Letitia shared that her state was conservative. The gentleman asked if, because of this, her husband could calmly cheat on her. Staring at the floor, the girl explained that men's actions are not ignored, but are considered not so shameful. The brunette explained that she had feelings that everyone was silent, if cheating did not interfere with pedigree or status. Letitia sadly remembered how her husband dishonestly made love with his mistress. The blonde asked what the girls were allowed to do. Sionian asked what would happen to a girl if she cheated on her husband. The brunette said that if a married woman in Northland cheated, she was immediately returned to her parents. The girl said that in addition to the distribution of property, the traitor will have to pay huge compensation to her husband's family. Their children could be at risk of being unable to inherit. Sionian noticed that the rules were only for girls. She asked why he asked about this. Leaning over the girl, the guy explained that he wanted to commit this crime. Letitia couldn't wrap her head around what she had just heard. Stroking the girl's face, the blonde reminded her that she was expelled even before committing treason. His hand gradually lowered into the neckline. Sionian explained that the girl did not need to pay compensation since she had already died. The guy reminded that the girl did not have children who would not be able to receive the inheritance. Gently biting the girl on the shoulder, the blonde suggested that this one would sound very strange. Gently hugging the girl by the waist, he suggested that he was quite suitable for this role. Tears welled up in the eyes of the sapphire light. The brunette asked what benefit the gentleman was talking about. The girl was used to being constantly used as a tool. Letitia has been a rage toy in the Winchester household her entire life. Thanks to her, they made good money. But she was as slender as a doll, Astor's wife. Even after being reborn again, the girl decided not to change anything. Hickeys and bluish bite marks appeared on the fragile shoulders. Letitia realized that this was the chance she had been given. The girl pushed the blonde into the luxurious torso and explained that she needed to return to her room. The brunette hurriedly headed towards the exit. Langaro asked the gentleman whether they really had to mock the girl like that. The guy asked the blonde to take pity on the brunette because she was unhappy. Sionian explained that the girl was herself to blame for running away without listening to him to the end. The guy asked what people were suggesting to pretend to be lovers. The blonde noticed that the girl misunderstood the gentleman. Sionian ordered the servant to help him sort out his things. Langaro asked if the gentleman remembered that he was the son of the Chancellor of Westeros. Sionian asked if the blonde remembered who he was. The gentleman asked the boy to be silent. Obediently bowing his head, the guy with the monocle remembered that the gentleman was not just a prince, but salt. Langaro reverently adjusted the master's jewelry in ringing silence. The blonde assumed that the blue-eyed gentleman was worried about his harsh statement. Langaro offered to go and resolve their misunderstanding. He suggested that such a construction should not cause failure in the master's plan. Moonlight flooded the girl's room. Covered with a warm blanket, the girl twitched nervously in her sleep. Cold sweat ran down the brunette's cheeks, and her teeth were clenched tightly. In the dream, the girl was running across the field. Her silhouette was illuminated only by dim moonlight. The blonde heard a familiar voice that ordered her to come there. With tears in her eyes, she turned around and saw her husband's mistress with a huge sword in her hands. With a creepy grin, the girl explained that it was useless for her to run away. The hem of the white dress was covered with dirt and many holes. The creepy girl suggested that Letitia also wanted peace. Our heroine stumbled, hitting her face in the dirt. The question in my ears was whether the blonde really lacked sincerity. Many insults rained down on the girl in a flurry, betraying her to those terrible memories. Many hands reached out to Letitia. The blonde tried to run away in panic, begging at least someone to help her. The brunette grabbed her hand sharply. The girl was surprised to see Astor and begged him to help. The man released his hand and the sharp sword pierced her heart. Pressing his nose to the girl's nose, the ex-husband said that no one would save her. Bloody tears flowed from sapphire eyes. Breathing heavily and covered in cold sweat, the girl jumped out of bed. The brunette slowly walked towards the table with a variety of different alcohols. Letitia took one of those bottles of wine. The girl uncorked the bottle, realizing that she could not stand the nightmares sober. Approaching silently in the darkness, Sionian asked what the brunette was doing here at such a late hour. With a trembling in her body, the girl coughed, and having finished the burgundy wine, insisted that she used it as a sedative. The gentleman snatched the bottle from his hand and explained to her that drinking alcohol with an unhealed wound was a bad idea. Let's face it, Letitia told everything. She claimed that she could not sleep due to chest pain. The blonde explained to her that in this case it was worth coming to him. The guy asked if the girl really didn't know why she didn't have painkillers on their ships. Pressing her hand to the wound, the girl asked again with a trembling. Sionian tore her dress and saw a bleeding wound. Scarlet blood stained the snow-white bandage. The blonde explained that these were all the consequences of drinking alcohol. Touching the chest, Sionian used magic. Light flooded the room, slowly healing the brunette. The girl touched the hand with the magic symbol with trepidation. Letitia lowered her eyes and apologized for causing Mr. discomfort. Blue eyes flashed in the darkness of the night. The guy looked at the girl with contempt and repeated her words. Letitia bowed her head and stood with folded hands, looking guilty. Having sat down comfortably on the sofa, the blonde assured that he was disappointed with the girl, that she still did not understand him. Sionian invited the girl to sit next to him. The guy explained that they still had an unfinished conversation. The blonde noticed that the girl couldn't even control her body after drinking alcohol. Tightly gripping the hem of her dress, the girl bashfully blurted out words of apology. The gentleman asked if he really couldn't even joke with her. Drops of cold sweat appeared on the brunette's face. She gave the blonde a puzzled look. In a trembling voice, the girl asked him if it was really such a joke. Sionian explained that the proposal to change was just one way to take revenge on his ex-husband. The blonde explained that if she lived for a year in Kant, it would be quite difficult for girls to live in Northland. The guy suggested that she could use his authority. Sionian explained that if he had simply wanted to use the brunette as a tool to satisfy his needs, he would not have even offered her a deal in the first place. Dead silence reigned in the room, flooded with light. Letitia felt quite awkward. The brunette realized that such a man could not want her, and she simply misunderstood him. Lowering her eyes, the beauty explained that she had misinterpreted his words. The brunette explained that she had shown her emotionality in vain and was now feeling guilty. Letitia caught the surprised look of the gentleman. Looking thoughtfully at her, Sionian replied that he had already explained himself for his actions. The blonde recalled that he still had not received an apology for the girl's actions. Nervously crossing her arms over her chest, the brunette asked what she needed to do to make him forgive her. The guy asked to kiss his lips, which blessed her fate. Sionian gently touched his finger to his lips. The blonde noted that only after kissing the girl would he accept her apology. Letitia froze, and a slight, bashful blush appeared on her cheeks. She lowered her eyes in shame, trying not to show her emotions. The blonde recalled that the girl said she was allegedly ready to do anything for the sake of revenge. The gentleman asked if those were just empty words. Letitia answered in the negative. The girl assumed that the gentleman was checking how suitable she was for the role of his mistress. The brunette understood that this was not real. Putting her hand on the man's massive shoulder, Letitia asked if the gentleman could close his eyes. Her crimson blush did not disappear. The blonde grinned and noticed that she acted like a virgin. Letitia closed her eyes and apologized. She kissed his neck tenderly. Sionian explained that his lips were slightly higher. After a passionate kiss, the blonde asked if she really did it on purpose. The guy pulled the brunette to his waist. The girl made excuses that she had not done this for a long time. Letitia wondered if she should try again. Looking down, the gentleman explained that it was not worth doing this. The blonde explained to the girl that one could assume that he had forgiven her. Sionian ordered the brunette to return to her room. Drops of cold sweat quickly ran down her face. The girl realized that this was definitely a test. Having bowed, Letitia wished the gentleman good night. Turning around, the girl successfully headed towards the door. Having unbuttoned his snow-white shirt, the blonde revealed a luxurious hammock. He noticed that the room had become quite hot. Looking down, Sionian wondered why his body was burning. The servant informed His Highness that they had been contacted by the royal palace. Looking at the gentleman, the blonde explained that he would then ask for compensation for the psychological damage caused to him. The blonde ordered Langaro to leave. The rays of the rising sun made their way through the windows. A bright light and some noise from outside woke up our heroine. Snatches of phrases could be heard from the girl. Letitia came out of her cabin and asked why it was so noisy outside. The gray-haired man was talking with Mr. Langaro. The blonde asked the lady how you slept. After the words of gratitude, the brunette asked what happened. The man explained that nothing of the kind happened. He asked the girl not to worry. Looking away, the blonde sarcastically explained that they were just having engine problems. Surprised, Letitia asked whether the repair would take a long time. Sighing heavily, the guy shared that the repair would take more than a couple of hours. Langaro suggested that the girl should be in the cabin all the time. The brunette was surprised by this statement. The blonde suggested that the girl go for a walk, because the weather was beautiful that day. The gentleman reminded Letitia that she would not be able to return to Northland for a year. The blonde suggested that the girl go and say goodbye. After a moment, the girl's gaze dropped. The brunette had no one to go say goodbye to. The girl remembered that they forced her to start a new life, tearing her away from the past. The blonde offered to walk with him, because just recently he had seen several beautiful dresses at the market. Langaro suggested that brunettes would suit them. The girl's gaze froze. The rays of the sun created beautiful reflections in her eyes. The blonde asked the girl to wait a little and promised to bring new clothes. Letitia examined her face carefully. She couldn't believe it was her own reflection, although the girl was beautiful before her transformation. Langaro asked the brunette what she was thinking about. Confused, the girl assumed that this would sound arrogant. The brunette said that in her opinion Mr. Zion was very handsome. The blonde explained that appearance was not His Majesty's greatest asset. The girl asked if the gentleman used his power to create such an attractive appearance. Laughing hysterically, the blonde asked the lady how she came up with this. The guy noticed that he had not laughed so much for a long time. Continuing to laugh, Langaro explained that the gentleman had been like this since birth. Letitia's face flushed crimson. The gentleman suggested moving from jokes to dressing up. The servants put a new outfit on the girl, highlighting her waist with a black belt. The blonde noticed that the lady was very beautiful in this outfit. The girl thanked him for the compliment. Langaro explained that he only voiced this fact. The blonde asked if Letitia knew her way around the port. Giggling, the girl answered in the affirmative, explaining that this was her homeland. Events take us to the port of Northland. As soon as the girl left the ship, memories came flooding back to her. The brunette often came here with her dad for his work. Letitia used to live not far from here. Langaro said that he had heard that incidents often happened in this port. The guy said that security would be sent to them just in case. And Alexa Wolf was there as a security guard. She had a reputation as the swift sword of Westeros. Letitia was surprised that a girl was given this reputation. The brunette thought all her life that a guy was behind this. With a smile, Letitia introduced herself by her real name and assured that she was pleased to meet you. Taking a deep breath, Vanine explained to the lady that this was not so at all. Realizing her mistake, the brunette introduced herself as Anna Rose Victoire. After kissing her hand, the defender said that she represented Countess Victoire. Looking at the vehicle from the side with a smile and surprise, the brunette realized that she had sailed here on such a luxurious liner. Alexa said that the ship was the pride of Westeros and belonged to the Platinum Celestia. Very nervous, the girl heard a painfully familiar voice. The girl noticed that the ship was stupidly huge. The blonde explained that only insensitive bourgeois choose this. Drops of cold sweat slowly flow down your face. The brunette recognized these girls as Olivia and Clarice. Aristocrats believed that all ships should be equal to theirs. Clarice asked if her friend thought there was nothing superfluous in their cozy ferry. Letitia put her hand on the wound that had not yet healed. The brunette realized that she hadn't even noticed that Astor's private vessel was very close by. The girl explained to her mother that their business was going well. Olivia suggested changing the ship because theirs was already too small. She explained that their family should travel on the appropriate ship. Sighing, the woman explained that her daughter was right. The former family discussed the need to collect Letitia's death benefit. Horror washed over the brunette again. Olivia explained that Letitia was of no use when she was alive. The girl noticed that she remained useless even after her death. Turning around to these conversations, the brunette explained that this was all because Astor was too kind. The woman asked how the guy could think that his ex-wife died because of him and refused the money. Olivia noted that only Ksenia did a good deed for them. Clarice asked her daughter if she had communicated with Lianka. Olivia explained that she was good at talking. The girl said that she was the only heiress of the Snoweyser family. The girl with blue hair asked if Lanica was the only survivor of the terrible fire. Clarice suggested that she would bring a large dowry to the wedding. Smiling, the woman explained that she was looking forward to it. Clarice suggested that she would definitely put in more effort than Letitia. After listening to this conversation, Brianki's eyes narrowed with rage. The girl was amazed that she had died so recently, and they were already talking about this. Olivia's gaze soon fell on the brunette. The girl didn't even have time to blurt out, "Oh." The sister of the ex-husband suggested that judging by the outfit, the brunette arrived from abroad. Olivia asked Anna which continent she came from. The girl explained that she had not seen visitors on their lands for a long time. The brunette froze in a stupor, while her face was covered with cold sweat. The girl asked our heroine if she really didn't know the native language of Northland. Olivia asked if the brunette really didn't know the common language of the continents. Letitia realized that she had to say something. But unfortunately, the brunette's voice was not heard at all. Alexa suggested that the lady take a look at the foreign port to see how soon it would be time for them to return. The swordswoman invited the brunette to conduct one. Olivia and Clarice followed the girl with contemptuous glances. Entering the cafe, Alexa explained that she felt some kind of cold. The living room was flooded with bright sunlight. The girls were talking while sitting at a small table. The swordswoman assumed that the mistress knew the girls. The girl asked the lady if this was true. Answering affirmatively, Letitia explained that those women were her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. The swordswoman recalled that the brunette wanted to say that women were them. The lady thanked her for helping resolve the situation. Alexa explained that there was nothing to thank her for. because she did everything for the sake of Mr. Zion. The maid served the lady a drink and a pie. The maid asked the brunette to eat at least a little. The swordswoman explained that losing weight and being overweight greatly changes people's appearance. I explained to the lady that sometimes it becomes impossible to even recognize such people. The brunette smiled and promised to eat a little. The wooden door opened with a creak. Letitia froze and turned around to hear a familiar voice. The man was surprised that she was here. Aster noted that she did not know that she would hide in such a place. Trembling all over, the girl dropped the cutlery from her hands when she heard Aster's voice. Alexa asked what happened. Trembling all over, the brunette explained that it was her ex-husband. The swordswoman asked the lady to calm down, claiming that he would not be able to recognize her. The girl with pink hair argued that Letitia would look suspicious if she was confused. The brunette could hear snippets of phrases and she realized that it was not addressed to her. The blonde apologized for making Aster look for him. The guy explained that he really missed the delicious food here. The blonde's name was Viscount Bryson. The Viscount attended her wedding as Aster's close friend. Sighing with relief, the brunette realized that no one recognized her. The brunette noticed that his friend was talking to him. Aster asked if the blonde would really say what he usually did. The swordswoman asked the lady if she had come to her senses. The lady assured that she felt a little better. Alexa suggested that the brunette slowly leave here. The Viscount hit the table with force and asked if the brunette was serious. The blonde was furious that his friend was saying that his wife's death was something positive. Gritting his teeth, our heroine's ex-husband explained that the girl had nowhere to go after the divorce. The brunette explained that it was unlikely that she would be able to get married again, since it was difficult for her to get pregnant. The Viscount asked if the brunette really decided to divorce her knowing this. The widower muttered that he was not involved in charity. The brunette explained that he only thought of her as his ex-wife. Aster explained that his wife knew what a serious relationship he was in with Lianka, but she did not back down. The widower explained that the ex-wife was simply sitting and desperately waiting for him to return to her. The brunette shared that the girl jumped into the river to make him feel guilty. The guy said that he didn't even want to take the benefit because he didn't want to seem arrogant. Aster explained that his future with Lanika did not require blood money. Trembling ran through our heroine's body again. Alexa turned to Milady to break her out of her trance. The brunette was sure that Aster refused the money out of guilt. Hot tears slowly flowed down the girl's cheeks. The brunette understood that Aster betrayed her to the last. The brunette explained that if his lover committed suicide because of a divorce, then this was what had to happen. Aster explained to his friend that he was sorry to waste time commemorating the suicide. Getting up from the table, Alexa suggested that the lady quickly leave here. The Viscount asked if everything was okay with the brunette. The swordswoman explained that there was nothing wrong with her, and asked the guys to continue their dialogue. The blonde said that in Northland it is considered bad manners to help crying girls. The Viscount asked to contact him if he could be of any help. Angry, Alexa began to claim that everything was fine. Entering the door, the blonde apologized for being late. He slowly approached the girl and pretended that she was crying because he had left her for a long time. The handsome man asked what he should do. The tears gradually stopped flowing. Hope flashed in the brunette's eyes. Alexa decided to play along and asked why he was making the lady cry by coming so late. The blonde hugged the crying girl tightly to him. A crimson blush appeared on Letitia's face. The girl with pink hair noted that the brunette had been waiting for her lover for a long time. Zion asked for forgiveness, tightly hugging the fragile body. The guy promised the brunette that in the future he would not make her wait for him for so long. The blonde promised the girl to buy whatever she wanted. Zion suggested that she leave here. The girl was walking with a blonde man along the embankment. Xian asked the brunette why she was crying again. The guy assumed that Letitia still loved him. Tears were still streaming down his beautiful face. The brunette claimed that she didn't love anymore. Sky blue eyes pierced the girl. Zion noticed that she was lying. Sighing heavily, Letitia assured that she was being honest. The brunette said that these dead feelings were like cut stems from which juice flows for some time. Hot drops flowed down the girl's face. She realized that she showed her emotions only because of her ex-husband. Letitia was afraid that the master would think how pathetic she was. The blonde asked why she was starting to cry again as before. The guy gently lifted her face and looked into her amethyst eyes. Sionian was surprised that the brunette didn't even hide it. The blonde explained that if he were in the girl's place, he would bite his tongue so as not to show weakness. The guy noticed that the girl needed to learn a lesson. Letitia asked what lesson he was talking about. The blonde walked with a calm step towards the arriving carriage. The guy explained that he wanted to show her something. Zion asked to follow him. The girl, with tear-stained eyes, pressed her hand to herself. The last rays of the setting sun disappeared, plunging the city into darkness. The carriage drove up to one of the cemeteries. It was completely dark outside. The brunette hesitated and looked at the setting rays of the sun and the landscape of the cemetery. Seonian asked through clenched teeth whether she understood where they were now. After hesitating, the girl nodded her head affirmatively. Letitia understood that this was the Winchester family cemetery. The brunette asked why they came here. Langara helped the girl get out of the carriage. The gentleman walked towards the cemetery with a confident step. His cloak fluttered in the light wind. The brunette's gaze darted between the gentleman and Langaro. In deathly silence, the company entered the cemetery. At one point, the blonde stopped. The gentleman asked the brunette to read who this grave belonged to. Sion ordered the girl to do it quickly. Looking at the monument, Letitia saw her initials. The blonde asked Langaro what funeral traditions are in Northland. The guy said that one of the steps was to bury things that the deceased liked in the tomb. He said that they also buried favorite flowers, a dress, and a family photo. The guy explained that we would also put toys or something valuable for the deceased in the grave. The brunette took the wilted daisies from her graves. Tears were welling up on the girl's face again. Seonian asked if the girl was interested in what was in her tomb. Looking at the withered daisies, she explained to His Majesty that she did not want to know this. The gentleman recalled that she said that she needed to realize this. With a snap of their fingers, the two men began digging up the grave. Soon the coffin began to be visible. The man was not the least bit surprised that the coffin was made of cheap material. Turning to the servants, the master ordered to open it. Soon the edge of the bandits' shovels crashed into the lid of the coffin. There was a ringing silence in the cemetery. Letitia was shocked, and the urge to vomit rose in her throat. The gentleman asked if this was too much. The entire coffin was filled with garbage. Wiping the sweat with his hand, Langar noted that it was cruel. The blonde noticed that the girl's relatives had gone too far, filling up with garbage. Touching the brunette on the shoulder, Seonian reminded her that in Northland they usually put something associated with the deceased in a coffin. The blonde asked people to look at it. The guy asked if she still missed the past. The brunette looked in horror at the bags of garbage illuminated by the moonlight. Letitia's vision quickly began to darken. A moment later, the brunette fell unconscious. Having caught the girl in his arms, the blonde noticed how weak she was. Langaro explained that this was truly shocking, and he reproached the gentleman for why he specifically showed her this. The blonde explained that such a stupid girl would not have understood anything without such confirmation. Seonian explained that their revenge would not be easy, and he responded by noting that the master's methods were always effective. Langaro explained that the problem was that the master did not know boundaries. The blonde asked Seonian to apologize to the lady when she woke up. The guy explained that he would suffer from a long nightmare. The girl woke up in a room flooded with light. Opening her eyes, the girl realized that it was His Highness's cabin, and Letitia understood that they had to return. The master ordered her to lie still. The blonde explained that her fever had not yet subsided. Seonian guessed that it was most likely due to the shock he received. Lowering her amethyst eyes, she asked what she was wrong about. The brunette said that she wanted to do everything in her power because she loved her ex-husband. Letitia shared that she didn't want to appear like a coward in front of people. The brunette said that no one was aware of it, but she tried hard. The girl wondered if these feelings were really so bad that they insulted her until her death. The blonde reassured her that it wasn't her fault. Seonian explained that the girl did everything possible and fell into the trap of her emotions by simply choosing the wrong partner. The brunette explained to His Majesty that she knew this. Seonian asked if even after this Letitia wants to give away her feelings. The girl said that she intends to do so, that if her ex-husband felt bad, she would sacrifice her life and come running. Letitia wanted to believe it, even if it turned out to be a lie. The brunette was sure that it was better for her to believe and be deceived than to regret not believing. The girl admitted that if she could, she would kill herself the same way Lianka did to her. The girl felt that her existence was a mistake. The brunette believed that it would be better if she had not been born. The gentleman realized that this time Lianka was right, because the body and soul of this girl were being destroyed. The blonde suggested that the shock therapy was too much. The guy felt that this had completely destroyed the existing cracks. Zion decided to take responsibility and make sure that the soul did not break. The blonde realized that the girl was like a deer that could not become a wolf, and a sheep could not become a tiger. The gentleman explained to the girl that she was born the way she is. The guy gently stroked Letitia's tender face. The guy hoped that such touches could smooth out the girl's wounds. Wiping away her tears, the prince insisted that it was not her fault. Gently tucking her hair behind her ear, Seonian explained to the brunette that she had done everything possible and had fallen into the trap of her emotions by simply choosing the wrong partner. After kissing the girl on the forehead, the blonde explained that she did not have to take responsibility for this. The gentleman explained that only the girl's ex-husband, who did not accept her love, and his mistress, who took her place, were wrong. Zion put the girl on the bed and explained to her that they should bear the blame. The guy asked Letitia not to take responsibility for the sadness she felt because of them. The blonde hovered over her, looking into her amethyst eyes. He claimed that the girl did everything in her power and was confident in her feelings. The guy asked the brunette to behave with dignity. Closing her eyes, she wiped away the remaining tears. Smiling, the blonde noticed that she had finally stopped crying. The guy asked if she was still so sad that she wanted to die. Stuttering with uncertainty, the girl replied that she was no longer in such pain. The prince noticed that this situation still affected her. Gently running his finger over her lips, the blonde explained that he could do something not from the duties of assault, but simply as a man. Clutching a snow-white shirt, she asked whether her internal pain would stop after this. Gently kissing the girl, the blonde answered her in the affirmative. Some kind of sadness still flickered in the heroine's amethyst eyes. He gently kissed her neck, and he promised that she wouldn't even think about her ex-husband. Astor Winchester was Letitia's everything, but she was nothing to him. Next to him, the brunette always considered herself unworthy. The girl was depressed every time and hated herself. Letitia was sure that she must hate him, because it was because of him that she became like this. The girl now probably saw something that she should truly regret. The blonde gently squeezed her hand and pressed her to the bed, and Letitia now realized that she had to love herself. The girl's cheeks turned red while the blonde asked her to look only at him. The brunette realized that she had to do her best for the one who cared about her. The prince gently pressed her to him, kissing her lips. Getting out of bed, the brunette thanked the gentleman for last night. The girl promised to try to prevent this from happening again. His blonde hair fell over his luxurious torso. His blue eyes were calm as always. Letitia explained that she now feels completely worthless. The girl promised that someday she would become a useful tool for the blonde. The brunette asked the man not to throw her away. The prince explained that he began to hate Letitia Violet as soon as she began to do this. Smiling, the prince explained that he hoped Anna Rose Victoire would like him. The prince informed her that a strict schedule awaited her upon her arrival in Kant. The gentleman explained that Angra had to take care of the girl's comfort. The prince asked if he could please her one more time before leaving, and he asked her to say what she wanted now. Pressing the hem of her dress, the girl assumed that she had already received more. Confused, she asked for flowers. Zion will throw on a snow-white shirt. The guy asked her again if she really wanted flowers. Confused, Letitia asked for at least one flower. The prince asked why the girl wanted them. Smiling, the brunette explained that her friend said that after the first night with her lover, she received a bouquet of flowers. Letitia explained that at that moment she was very jealous of her, because she never received flowers. Smiling, the girl explained that it was time for her to go. The blonde followed her with his eyes. The guy turned around and saw a merchant with flowers. Xian was surprised that they were just flowers. Bright rays flickered in the sun's glare on the water. Letitia looked at the decorations and desserts. Alexa asked the lady if she liked the walk around the port of Kant. She said that she really enjoyed the walk, not noticing the pain in her legs. Taking a deep breath, the swordswoman was surprised that she did not notice this. The brunette asked her not to worry, because she was very interested. Smiling, the swordswoman asked the lady to quickly go and rest. Letitia noticed that the girl had worked really hard and asked her to rest here too. When Letitia opened the door of the room, the scent of flowers filled her lungs. Her room was strewn with many roses and looked more like a greenhouse. Letitia froze, remembering the request to give her at least one flower. The brunette looked at the bouquet with tears in her eyes. The girl had never received flowers before that moment. Letitia realized that in the coming year she would return, becoming the ideal Anna Rose for His Majesty. The blonde gave her spring after one request for flowers. Time has treated those who inflicted the wounds and those who received them fairly. Anna Rose had been in the state for a whole year. The girl wondered if he was living well. The prince never contacted her during all this time. The red-haired guy asked what she was thinking about. The girl asked what he thought the dependent's thoughts might be. Edgar asked her not to say that. The Marquis explained that the girl was very important to their family. Baudrin was a family of marquises famous for their wine production. They became the founders of part of the special traditions and culture of the state of Kant. The marquises collaborated with Sionian and also confirmed the identity of Anna Rose Victoire. She assured that it was very nice of them. The guy said that he heard that it was time for the brunette to return to Northland. Edgar reminded the girl that she needed to resolve her affairs there. Raising a mug of tea, the girl explained that thanks to this she could become Anna Rose Victoire. Edgar said that he was very worried because the girl could get caught in the rain after leaving this place. The Marquise was worried that the girl would force herself to smile with sad eyes, like the first time here. Anna thanked her for your concern and explained that she had changed a lot this year. Very embarrassed, the Marquis suggested that this would be a strange request. Edgar asked if the girl could reconsider her decision about her departure. Entering the room, the red-haired girl asked the guy what he was muttering there. Marie asked why her brother was asking if he himself knew that the request was strange. The girl asked what kind of words about rain. Marie asked Anna why she was listening to this nonsense. The red-haired girl joked that a girl from Kant could call herself after something like that. Laughing, she asked for forgiveness. The Marquise asked why she was apologizing. The brunette explained that in Kant there is a saying, "Lower the sails from the beginning in the rain." The girl explained that it perfectly shows how she wasted her valuable time. After applauding, Marie noted that it was perfect. The girl hugged Anna, noting that no one would mistake her for a foreigner. Smiling, the brunette explained that it was all thanks to her wonderful mentors. Smiling, the Marquise noticed that the girl was flattering her. The brunette replied that she was not flattering in any way, since teaching people was a difficult job. The girl explained that she was grateful to her for the training. Kissing the brunette on the cheek, Marie noticed how prettier she had become. Embarrassed, the Marquise explained that she had studied hard and therefore deserved a reward. The girl with red hair handed our heroine an envelope. She explained that this was her new ID. Amethyst eyes shone, because from that moment on, Countess Victoire became a relative of the Marquise's. Smiling, the Marquise congratulated her new sister. The Countess hugged Marie tightly and sincerely thanked her. The girl noticed that the brunette remained an emotional child. Marie explained that the guy could go out. Anna was incredibly happy to see Langaro again. Smiling, the blonde noticed that he had not seen the lady here for a long time. The guy noticed that she began to look much better. Langaro noted that it was a good decision to place the brunette in the Borden's care. The brunette was incredibly happy that the gentleman had not forgotten about her. Anna asked if they were doing well. The blonde reported that they were busy working with His Highness Sionian as always. The girl asked what he was doing here. Letitia asked if they had come to pick her up at the end of the year. Smiling, the blonde explained that he was here to check on the girl. Langaro handed the girl an envelope with a wax seal. The blonde reminded the girl that she had been studying throughout this entire time. The guy said that she was praised in every report. The Marquises laughed awkwardly. Angaroo asked the girl to take a look. Anna didn't even know that that letter was an invitation to a tea party. Marie explained that these were the Sullivan princes. They held a grand tea ceremony every year at the beginning of summer and invited mainly families from Kant. Langaro explained to the girl that there is no better chance for becoming a native of Kant. He explained that the girl would be able to make herself known to many families from high circles. The brunette immediately realized that this would be like testing. The guy asked her to make sure that during the tea party, no one knew that she was a foreigner. He explained that this was an order. Letitia asked if she should take the wrong green one. Marie explained that it was too dark for daytime. The girl noticed that blue suited her sister, but this time it was better to take that one. Marie remembered that today would be the brunette's first public appearance. Smiling, she asked what she was saying. Marie recalled that the girl was really going out for the first time. The sister told Rose to be confident and lightly patted her on the back, telling her not to slouch and straighten her shoulders. The girl with red hair reminded her that she knew the theories very well thanks to her hard study, and would not be mistaken if she took everything into her own hands. The red-haired girl asked her sister if she knew what her biggest problem was. With bewilderment, Anna asked what she was talking about. The sister explained that the girl was too modest, and the girls from Kant were not like that at all. The brunette, looking in the mirror, put on a pale pink dress. Marie explained that everyone has their flaws. The sister explained to the girl that it is not at all necessary to be perfect in order to gain self-confidence. The girl with red hair explained that it would be enough to try a little to become more confident. The brunette looked at her reflection in the mirror with admiration. Marie explained to her sister that what they did was wrong. The sister explained to Anya that, after all, she had not committed any crime. Letitia, thanking her, explained that she has a crime such as falsification of identity and forgery of documents. The girl noticed that her life as Anna Rose Victoire begins with breaking the law. Marie asked if her sister would not wear this dress. The brunette explained that she would, since the marquise had chosen it for her. The red-haired girl suggested that the gems could be blue. Marie suggested meeting in the hall in the morning. Without hiding her joy, the brunette asked if the marquise was also going there. Laughing, the marquise explained that she was the first to receive the invitation to the tea party. Letitia realized how good the marquise was because she could have sent her alone, but because of work, they go to her together. Smiling, she thanked Marie. The moon illuminated the girl's room. The brunette realized that a new day had finally arrived. She doubted whether she could cope. Letitia suddenly opened her eyes. She had nightmares about how she was accepted into the Astor family. The guy's mistress suggested that it was as if they had become one family since they got together like that. The brunette explained to his mistress how he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The girl asked if Letitia would be sad from these words. While drinking wine from a glass, the guy claimed that his wife would only interfere with their happiness. Letitia wondered when she would be able to get out of this recurring hell. Memories flashed through her head. When the prince noticed that she was unbearable, the guy at that moment noticed that she began to look better, but was still weak in the morning. Xian then noticed that there was some kind of attractiveness in the blonde's weakness. At that moment, Letitia noticed that His Majesty smelled of the sun. The man kissed her head and explained that she smelled of tears. At that moment, the girl became curious what the smell was. Xian explained that the smell was slightly salty and bitter and a little sweet. The blonde noticed that the smell was reminiscent of that wet curtain from the rain, tenderly holding it in his hands. The girl assured that she really felt much better. Letitia admitted that she still had difficulty in the moments before and after sleep. The blonde explained that she doesn't know when it will end. The prince promised to put her to bed that day and picked the girl up in his arms. Zion brought her into the room remembered with flowers. With a smile on her face, she thanked him. The girl assured that she would never forget this act. The aroma of flowers mixed with the smell of melted wax. Lifting her face and bringing his own closer to her, the man explained that he could give her much more. Laying the fragile body on the bed, the blonde promised to make every effort to do this and kiss her tenderly. Unfortunately for Letitia, it will be just a dream. The horses slowly pulled the carriage. Looking out the window, the girl realized that it was simply an amazing dream. At that moment, it seemed to the girl that her lover really came to her. The sister asked Rose what she was thinking about. Marie asked if the brunette was really worried. The brunette explained that she had few such sensations. The sister explained to Rose that she shouldn't have worried and it was better to follow her example. The girl with red hair asked her sister to offer her best efforts so that she could be proud of her. Rose promised her to try. The carriage drove slowly between luxurious houses. The black horse tapped its hooves on the paving stones. Marie told the girl that they had finally arrived. The door of the elegant carriage opened. Letitia slowly lifted the hem of her dress and walked out of the door. Edgar noticed that the girl looked like a princess, and there was a sparkle in her eyes. She explained that the sun was just shining brightly today. Maria snorted that the sight was ridiculous. Handing the fan to her sister, the girl reminded her that he had never complimented her. Averting his eyes, the Marquis asked why his sister was making noise. Marie grabbed his shirt sharply. They started arguing while Rose just watched them. The brunette asked Marie to look there. Marie covered her plump lips with a fan. The girl noticed with a subtle smile that the guests were starting to gather. The girls with red hair offered to show people their beautiful sister. Letitia looked out from behind her sister and asked who the man was approaching them. The brunette was pleasantly surprised to see the famous Marie Baudrin. Lightly biting her fan, the girl asked who the man was because she didn't know such little-known people. The man was shocked by such impudence and asked the girl not to pretend. The brunette recalled that they had already crossed paths several times. Covering her face with a fan, she looked at him in surprise. Smiling, Edgar noticed that they had not seen Count Hayden for quite some time. The Count asked how His Highness the Marquis Edgar was doing. Pointing her fan at the brunette, the girl asked how long he would continue to create trouble for her behind her back. Marie remembered that the guy's sister-in-law was her fan. The Marquise noticed that the Count had gone crazy because he forced his daughter-in-law to follow her. Hayden explained that he came here first, and Marie came after him. Covering herself with a fan, the Marquise asked if he had become hers. Hayden asked if she really thought he would do something like that. A girl with short cropped hair and a blue flowered dress ran up to the Marquise. It was the Count's fiancé, Hayden Shallon. The brunette blushed and noticed that Maria looked very beautiful today. The girl said that the Marquise was even more sparkling than the stones on that dress. The red-haired girl thanked Shallon with a smile. The little girl asked who the Marquise's companion was. The girl said that Countess Anna Rose was her relative. The Marchioness explained that the brunette was busy dealing with the inheritance after the recent death of her father, so it was possible to introduce the Countess only now. Bowing, the brunette introduced herself as Anna Rose and assured that she was very pleased to meet you. Hayden noticed that her new friend was distinguished by her beauty. The brown-haired woman suggested that the girl was so beautiful because she was a relative of Mrs. Marie. Hesitating a bit, Rose thanked her. The pink hem of the dress rustled along the road. The girls whispered in disbelief that in front of them was the Countess of the State of Kent. The former sister-in-law noticed that they had already crossed paths in Northland. The brunette's eyes widened when she saw Olivia. Hazel shared with her new friend that Olivia was a friend of hers who had arrived from Northland. The girl with green hair introduced herself as Olivia Winchester. Anna Rose tried to force herself not to worry. The girl reminded herself that she was no longer Letitia Violette. Anna explained with a smile that she remembered how they met at the port. With sparkling eyes, Olivia explained that she remembered the girl because she was very beautiful. The guest from Northland noticed that the girl had not changed a bit. Approaching the guy with red hair, Olivia asked if he was Marquis Edward Borden. The girl said that Shallon told her that he was Marie's older brother. With flushed cheeks, Olivia approached the Marquis. The guy replied that if she was a Winchester from Northland, then he had heard about her too. Edgard explained that Winchester's white tea business had recently increased in demand as production in Northland. There was delight on the guest's face. She asked if the Marquis really knew her brother. The guy insisted that their state was a trading one. Marquis shared that he himself is also interested in the situation of other countries as an entrepreneur. Holding her cheeks, the girl asked how her brother could come up with such an idea. The girl suggested importing white tea from Westeros. Deathly silence hung over the company. The girl now noticed that the Marquise's faces showed that Angra told them about how she lived in Northland. Edgar recalled that white tea helped neutralize the hard water problem in Northland. The guy remembered that water purified with white tea was good for the skin. Edgard asked the guest how she learned about the abilities of tea that grew only in Westeros. The Marquis noted that due to the sour taste of the drink, its import had to be stopped in Northland. Hazel explained that white tea is not popular at all. Olivia folded her hands and explained that she was embarrassed to admit it. But when her brother just wanted to start this business, the whole family was against it. Family members thought that her brother was crazy for wanting to take over the tea, which had already failed at that time. The guest shared that at that moment no one took his side. Olivia claimed that Astor did this only on his own. A picture of memories flashed before Letitia's eyes. The girl remembered that she supported her ex-husband and even borrowed money to help him. The brunette promoted Astor's business, which is why her father. Olivia noticed that people's destinies really can be amazing. Our heroine was even glad that they didn't remember even after a while. Smiling, the guest explained that she did not think that they would be able to meet again. The girl with green hair explained that she really hoped that they would get along. The brunette was unusual to hear such words, and her gaze dropped again. Olivia, noticing that the brunette was nervous, just looked at her questioningly. To brighten up the impending silence, Anna noticed that the guest had a very beautiful bag. With sparkling eyes, a girl with emerald hair asked whether the pattern was really beautiful. Olivier said that the bag came in a set along with a fan. The guest opened her fan to reveal all the beauty of the lace pattern. The girl with emerald hair shared that the accessory was made from rare silk, which was brought from distant Istria. The brunette explained that she thought it was a very beautiful thing, but it turned out they were imported. Our heroine suggested that a dress made of similar material would look great. Olivia waved her fan. She asked how her new friend found out about this. The guest shared that it was originally a dress, but it was altered. Smiling, Anna explained that she was very sorry, because it would have suited her very well. The brunette asked what happened. Confused, Olivia explained that her late sister had actually left her the dress. The guest explained that she thinks about the deceased every time she looks at these things. The girl explained that she would really like to turn back time. Looking into Olivia's eyes, Letitia couldn't believe what she was thinking about her. Rose asked if the girl had heard the tale of the Baroness who missed her late sister and left her room for 40 years. Hazel clasped her hands and asked if her interlocutor meant Baroness Meadow. Rose answered in the affirmative, explaining that she had been taking care of the room so diligently that it seemed as if its owner was about to leave. Smiling, Olivia noticed that in all countries there was a similar longing for the deceased. The guest noticed that this was the fate of those who went to the next world. The angry brunette noticed that Lady Olivia had ruined the deceased's item and made a bag out of it. The girl sighed heavily upon hearing such a remark. The girl with green hair nervously looked away, thinking of an excuse. Smiling, Olivia explained that things hanging in closets tend to be forgotten. Astor's sister explained that she was afraid of forgetting her sister. Hazel's eyes widened with delight and similar nobility. Fanning herself with a fan, Marie asked if Olivia always carries a bag with a fan. The guest explained that she really wanted to leave a memory of her deceased sister. A friend touched the grieving woman's shoulder and suggested how difficult it was for her. The brunette narrowed her eyes and realized that this was a lie. Our heroine realized that the clothes simply would not suit her sister-in-law. Unlike Letitia, Olivia was thinner and had long limbs. The brunette remembered that when she was kicked out of the house, her sister deliberately put it on for ridicule. Letitia understood that she could not wear the dress all the time. Our heroine understood that she apparently really liked the dress, since she decided to alter it. Letitia was furious that her sister-in-law could do such a thing to her grandmother's memorabilia. Poking her sister in the shoulder, Marie asked her to be patient. The Baroness reminded the girl that Langaro could see this at any moment. The Count asked the girl why her sister died. The guy explained that it seemed to him that the girl was young, and there was not such a big age difference between them. Olivia explained that the atmosphere in the family did not suit the new sister. The guest shared that their whole family tried to show love to the deceased. The liar explained that no matter how hard they tried, the blonde could not find happiness. With tears in her eyes, Olivia assumed that their love had not reached her. Astor's sobbing sister insisted that when she left their family she wanted to follow her. Hazel asked the girl not to cry because it was all in the past. The sobbing girl with emerald hair shared that her soul ached every time she remembered that she could not help her. The brunette slowly retreated into herself. Letitia wanted to say that she did not choose death, but they killed her. Letitia wanted to ask if she really regretted that she could no longer steal anything. Marie asked the guest why she had come here from Northland. The girl said that she decided to travel because she wanted to see the popular port of Kant. The Baroness noticed that it was quite far away. The girl with red hair asked if Olivia had arrived with someone. Smiling at the visit, she explained that she came alone. But since she has a Shaylin, we can assume that she is with a friend. Smiling, the red-haired girl explained that she was surprised that an unmarried lady was coming to another state alone. The Baroness noted that Northland is very conservative when it comes to girls. Fanning herself, Marie suggested that it was all just her stereotypes. Vanusa explained that she was amazed that the guests came here alone. Olivia immediately became gloomy. Letitia realized that when she got married, they might talk badly about her. I didn't understand how my ex-sister-in-law received permission for such a long trip. Tightly gripping the hem of her dress, Olivia said that her mother had expressed a desire for her to see the world. The guests explained that Mother cares and loves her so much. The girl again noticed the lie because Carissa's love was an exemplary son. When Astor's shares rose due to successful business, the family could not associate their daughter with a good birth. Releasing her into society, they sent her on a journey alone. Hannah realized that the guest was hiding something. The princess assured that she was very glad that she decided to attend her event. Bowing, Edgard explained that it was an honor for them to be invited. The blonde explained that she was grateful for their arrival. The princess asked why they were all gathered here. Turning around and hugging his sister, Edgard explained that there was nothing like that and asked to forgive them. Looking at the guest with a contemptuous look, the brunette wondered if she really thought that they would end there. Letitia knew that those who bully never remember it, but the victims remember everything. Anna was ready to repay her former sister-in-law in full for everything. A pleasant melody was heard throughout the area. The violinist masterfully produced divine sounds. The guests of honor sat and chatted about something at the table. Looking at the musicians, the brunette noticed how beautiful the music was. The girl realized that the beautiful melody Delicious food and noble conversation of the elite was a great place to join this society. Anna Rose walked behind the marquises, and there was a certain uncertainty in her eyes. A little behind her friends, the girl noticed a cat. Fluffy looked at the girl with his amber eyes. The girl wondered if it was really the cat of the princes. Our heroine timidly sat down next to the animal. Letitia wondered if maybe she should take one when she returned. Before this, the girl could not have cats because her ex-husband was allergic to fur. Marie reported that their table was there. The brother asked Rose to hurry up and go quickly. Leaving the cat, the girl quickly walked towards the table. The cat watched the girl with an attentive and inquisitive gaze. My sister ordered herself the strongest black tea with wine and a sandwich with fish and basil. The Marquis asked the same thing as his sister. For the first time in a long time, Letitia truly feels like a person from Kant. Initially, our heroine had a hard time getting used to the fact that they drink everything with tea here. Approaching Rose, the waiter asked what the girl wanted. The brunette explained that cream tea would be enough for her. Our trio sat at the table drinking tea. Light, unobtrusive melodies were in the air. Approaching the Marquis, Marinette noticed that they had not seen him for a long time. An acquaintance assumed that he was very busy since he did not come to sail on a yacht. The blonde explained that they were waiting for a guy, and this somehow upset their whole company. Edgard explained that the wine shipping period was planned soon, so he had indeed been very busy all this time. The guys asked if everything was ready. Friends reminded me that they were looking forward to it. The guys assured that Lady Mary was beautiful as always. The girl bit her lip slightly. Friends noticed that there is no dress that will not suit a lady. The girl was as brilliant as sea coral. Green eyes sparkled at the compliment, and the girl covered her face with a fan. The guy asked if she had time to enjoy the tea. The girl thanked her for paying so much attention to her. The Marquise assumed that they wanted to ask something else. The brunette, very embarrassed, asked who the Marquise's companion was. The guy noticed that he was meeting the brunette for the first time. New acquaintances noticed that Rose was charming. The guy admitted that at first he didn't believe his eyes, and it even seemed to him that the girl was a heroine who had stepped out of a painting. Smiling, Marie explained that the girl was her younger distant sister. The Marquise asked if the brunette was really beautiful. Letitia knew that she was 2 years older but chose to remain silent. Placing her hand on her chest, the girl greeted and introduced herself as Anna Rose Victoire. Hesitating a little, the blonde asked if she was really from the Victoire family. The guy remembered that this family descended from the Bourdons. She assured that the guys were right. The girl assured that almost no one knows about it, that her great-grandfather once mentioned it. An acquaintance recalled that almost all of the Victoires died abruptly. And because of this, the future of their family was in doubt. The Count explained that he was very surprised to meet the brunette. The guy admitted that the question of their heredity interested him very much. Letitia became very nervous. The Marquis interrupted the girl. He explained that this was truly amazing, because even after so many generations their hair color remained the same. The guy remembered that the brunette's great-grandfather had such black hair that he was nicknamed Raven. The girl, embarrassed, thanked her brother. The brunette asked what they were discussing so actively. The guy assured that he was very interested. He was amazed that the brunette was a relative of Marie. The Count noticed that the girl at such a young age was already the heiress of the family. Rose insisted that she was glad to meet everyone. Our heroine explained that she needed to step away for a while. The brunette realized that this might be the end of the introduction ceremony. The girl realized that she was a little worried and should rest a little. Heisen asked his sister if she was going to wear a turquoise ring. Our heroine listened to the Count's conversation. Let's remind the guy that they chose blue cuffs precisely because of this. The brown-haired woman explained that it was strange, but when she washed her hands before going out, she left the ring on the table. She insisted that at some point it simply disappeared. The guy suggested that the girl could have dropped him. She assured that she thought so too but could not find him. The guy suggested that the jewelry might have rolled under the furniture. He explained that he needed to ask the maids and look for him well again. The Count reminded the brown-haired woman that she had recently hired a new maid. The brown-haired woman assured that Hannah could not be a thief. The girl recalled that her ring had a very unusual pattern, and that it couldn't even be sold to traders. The brunette hoped Olivia couldn't do something like that away from home. Entering the room, our heroine saw a guest. She was clearly surprised by the appearance of Countess Victoire. Our heroine realized that her ex-sister-in-law had just hidden something up her sleeve. She asked the girl how she enjoyed the tea party in Kent. She asked if their tea parties were different from those in Northland. Olivia explained that the atmosphere was unusual, but it had its own zest. The guest explained that her new acquaintance and Lady Marie were attracting a lot of attention. The girl noticed that the brunette was simply amazing. Our heroine took the brush, wanting to touch up her makeup. Letitia explained that she was simply a relative of Maria, and because of this she attracted attention. Olivia noticed that for such a simple reason the brunette was too surrounded by people. The guest, smiling, compared our heroine to a stamen hiding in a flower. Letitia realized that her former sister-in-law was receiving less attention than she expected. It turned out that the guest had illusions about how she would have interesting conversations with the guys of this state about the differences between the countries. Rose realized that she and Marie had outdone everyone. Our heroine asked the guest what she was doing here. Hesitantly, Olivia explained that she was tired because of the long journey. Smiling, the brunette suggested that she was most likely tired of communicating. The brunette asked the girl not to pay attention to her and to rest. Letitia realized that Olivia hadn't even touched anything. The brunette suggested that she had not corrected her habits. Our heroine understood that Shalyn really could have accidentally lost the ring. The girl tried to convince her that it was impossible. The brunette unraveled her thick hair. Letitia remembered that when she entered the restroom, the guest was definitely hiding something. Rose explained that she was a little tired because she had been on her feet since the morning. The girl put a hairpin with brightly shining blue stones on the table. Olivia asked if she really wanted to change clothes for her nap. Our heroine said that she only wanted to rest for half an hour. The guest noticed the decorations shining in the sun. The seconds' hands moved, emphasizing the silence with a moderate ticking sound. Olivia called out to Countess Victoire. The girl grinned and realized that she was in deep sleep. A guest from another country heard conversations approaching. She froze for a few seconds when she heard someone asking if there was a restroom here. Someone confirmed this, and he explained that she was here last year. Olivia looked around nervously and realized that Anna Rose was sleeping. Smiling, the girl took the jewelry from the table. Having woken up, our heroine went to the dressing table. Smiling, the girl saw that naturally the precious hairpin was not there. One of the girls noticed that Rose was not visible in the garden. The brown-haired woman was here. The brunette said that she lay down to rest because she was very tired. Letitia asked what time it was. The blonde assured that it was just after 5 in the evening. The girl asked Rose if they had woken her up by accident. Our heroine thanked the girls for helping her wake up on time. Letitia explained that if they had not woken her up, she would have slept through the entire event. A girl in a hot pink dress warned our heroine that Marie was looking for her. The brunette explained that in this case she needed to go. She was looking for her hairpin on the dressing table, muttering something about his sister-in-law. A girl in a bright pink dress asked what happened. Rose explained that her hairpin was missing. The girl assured that the thing was given to her by a dear person. The brown-haired woman asked what the thing looked like and promised to help find it. Letitia explained that she would be very grateful and described the loss. The hairpin was about the size of a palm and was decorated with sapphires. Friends suggested that it was very expensive and suggested that we quickly look for it. The three of them searched every corner of the restroom. Trembling everyone, Shalyn asked the Countess if she was sure that she had lost the decoration in this particular room. The blonde suggested that the jewelry could have fallen out in the garden or in the carriage on the way here. Tears appeared in her eyes, and the girl explained that the jewelry was definitely with her before she went to bed. Our heroine understood that if she directly accused Olivia, the culprit would feel in danger. The girl suggested reporting the loss to the Sullivans. She claimed that the prince would definitely help find something valuable for Rose. The girl assumed that she would have to do this since they could not find her. Letitia realized that it would be more profitable for her to win over third parties. Taking her new friend's hand, she thanked her for helping her look for her hairpin. Smiling, Shalyn explained that she hoped that Countess Victor would still return the valuable item. Our heroine thought that the girls had become her active witnesses. The sound of a golden bell burst into the room. Shalyn asked if the brunette heard this. Letitia knew that this ringing meant the arrival of royalty or influential guests close to her. She suggested we go quickly. This was the ancient custom of cant, taught by the girl Marie. When the bell rang at an event, everyone had to leave what they were doing and gather together. The girl did not understand who could arrive, because these people were not on the list of invitees that Langaro showed her. The brunette watched with interest because he showed her that guest list. The blonde thanked the guests for coming to this modest tea party. That she was very glad that unexpectedly dear guests came to them. She couldn't believe that the king would be present. Graceful hands pulled back the curtain. Letitia's eyes lit up with a sparkle when the girl was introduced to Prince Sionian, the salt of the seas from the Summerhurst family. Having rung the bell, the luxurious blonde assumed that all the invitees had already arrived. The girl could not believe that Salt himself appeared in person. She couldn't believe that the prince had come to see her. Our heroine remembered their last night. Memories flashed through the girl's head like a vivid picture. Rose assumed that Sionian had definitely come to check how she was coping with the task. The brunette tried to convince herself that they were connected with him only by a deal. The girl realized that it would be foolish to expect more. Letitia was trying to force herself to stop overthinking the little things and focus on the test, and she didn't want to disappoint him. Smiling, our heroine explained to the girl that she did not know that she would be able to see him. The girl discussed that the blonde was like the rays of the sun, beautiful and magnificent. Heading to the countess, the baroness asked the brunette what had happened. Rose explained that they were talking about the salt arriving. Marie asked the brunette if she was really afraid of his appearance. Our heroine, noticeably nervous, replied that there was nothing like that. The brunette was already starting to worry about the missing hairpin, but now the blonde was here. The girl doubted whether she could make a scene now. The girl asked her sister if she pinned her hair today. The girl with red hair asked where the hairpin had gone. Nervously twirling her hair around her finger, our heroine explained that she decided to get some sleep, and the jewelry disappeared at that time. She wondered if someone could have taken the hairpin. Shallon approached the baroness and asked what happened. Sighing, Marie explained that someone had encroached on her relative's hairpin. The countess asked if someone could have stolen the hairpin. Embarrassed, the brunette explained that there was nothing wrong with it, and her hairpin could simply have gotten lost. Shalim asked how the girl could say such a thing, since she had already said that she had the hairpin before she fell asleep. Visibly nervous, Rose suggested that it could be a thief. The countess asked who could dare to do such a thing. One of the men asked if there was anyone here who wanted to take our heroine's accessory. I'll explain something that someone from Kant would not have done this. The man asked if anyone had any guesses. A girl with dark hair asked if there was anything besides the arrival of Salt. Blonde, you said that Countess Victor's things were missing. Running up to the girl, Olivia asked what happened. Looking at that brunette with contempt, she realized that her sister-in-law had been caught. Grabbing the guest's hand on the other side, Rose asked her if she had seen the hairpin. Olivia asked what color the accessory was, green or blue. The brunette noticed something strange because the last thing she remembered was their conversation in the lounge. Our heroine explained that when she woke up, the hairpin was no longer there. Nervously, she asked the guest again. The crowd began to speculate that Lady Olivia might have done this. People assumed that there was no one in the room other than Lady Olivia who could have done this. Letitia knew very well that the guest loved the color blue. Our heroine lost a lot of things near their house, and they were exactly blue. The losses included aquamarine jewelry and a fresh blue tea party dress, as well as silk shoes with blue sapphire. Today she is choosing an image not for this trap. But this was unexpected for her. A guest from another country explained that she also remembers how the brunette took off her hairpin before going to bed. The foreign guest tried to explain that she immediately left the restroom, and at that moment the decoration was still there. Olivia suggested that perhaps someone else had entered the room after her. Shallon claimed that she and a friend came in after the item went missing. The brown-haired woman explained that the Countess found out about the loss because they accidentally woke her up at the entrance. The Countess asked her friend if she really suspected them of theft. Olivia, waving her hands emotionally, explained that she didn't mean it that way. The girl asked if Olivia came out immediately after she herself fell asleep. The guest claimed that she was worried that she might wake Rose. Our heroine asked approximately what time this happened. Olivia insisted that she left before 5 o'clock. The brunette said that she remembers barely hearing the ringing of bells when she fell asleep. Rose asked if Olivia left before 5 in the evening. Shalene explained that they also heard it while walking into the room. The brown-haired woman asked her friend if she remembered how they talked about how they would leave in exactly half an hour. Our heroine explained that Lady Sophie came after the hairpin had disappeared. She explained that she could guarantee this. Covering her face with her hands, Shallon asked if the Countess really suspected her of theft. Sophie explained that it really wasn't her. After paying, the guest explained that the Countess was going too far. Shallon explained that she had something else to add. The girl was sure that her friend from another country was not that kind of person. Shallon explained that the guest had just recently arrived in Kant. The brown-haired woman asked to reconsider and suggested that a mistake might have occurred. Rose asked the lady if she had lost any jewelry lately. The brown-haired woman remembered the recently lost ring. A quiet rumble echoed through the crowd. People began to doubt that the Countess's hairpin and Lady Chalin's ring were not a coincidence at all. Breaking into a scream, Olivia explained that it really wasn't her. The guest, opening her arms, offered to check. The princess turned to Countess Victoire and Lady Olivia. The blonde explained that she had already heard that there had been a theft at the tea party. The princess asked if she could help with anything. Gauzy asked if she could become a witness. Blushing, Olivia asked to check her things to prove her innocence. The girl asked if the guest really wanted her to do this. Olivia explained that everyone would be convinced if the blonde did this. The princess suggested going inside and calmly solving the problem among the girls. The guest brazenly stated that she wanted to settle things here and prove everything that she had not stolen anything. Opening her arms, the suspect asked to do it here. With a heavy sigh, the princess agreed to this proposal. The suspect held out her purse without any remorse. Looking inside, the princess confirmed that the clutch was empty. After feeling the girl's dress and shawl, the organizer explained that there was nothing there. Rose asked Lady Olivia if she could watch too. The guest asked if the brunette really didn't believe Princess Sullivan. Smiling, the princess explained that everything was in order and allowed the Countess to do it if she wanted. Rose began the search with the sleeves and then moved to the hem of the dress and the chest area. Our heroine realized that the thief's cleavage was too open, and she understood that she would not be able to openly climb there. Olivia again began to insist that she had nothing. Having lowered herself, the girl began to examine the hem of the dress. The guests indignantly asked what the Countess was doing. Rose asked her guest not to move if she wanted to prove her innocence. Olivia, breaking into a scream, asked what the brunette was doing. Our heroine felt the stocking, causing Olivia to fall sharply. Unexpectedly for the crowd, a ring rolled out. Olivia froze when Shalin noticed that the ring belonged to her. The guest began to prove to her friend that it was not her. Olivia tried to justify herself by saying that she just found the jewelry by accident and wanted to return it later. Shalin asked her friend why she didn't say anything, because she knew very well about the loss. Olivia sat on her knees, not understanding what to do next. The girl recalled that Halen specially selected the outfit to match this ring. The Countess explained that she had suspected her friend from the very beginning. Shalin explained that the ring disappeared after the guest visited her room. Olivia asked to wait and not make hasty conclusions. I tried to prove to my ex-friend that she could explain everything to her. Smiling, the brunette explained that she could not do this, because in addition to the fact that the ring fell out from under the girl's skirt, our heroine also found a brush. The princess remembered that she had left her brushes in the guest restroom. The guest tried to justify herself by saying that she did not steal the brush and definitely could not have taken it. The blonde, looking gloomy, asked if Olivia really stole it. The princess asked whether the rest of the thefts were done by the girl. Smiling at the guest, she asked if those present knew who her brother was. The girl recalled that she is the sister of Astor Winchester from Northland. The suspect asked why she would steal if their family already had a lot of money thanks to a successful business. While drinking wine, the blonde suggested that this was her bad habit. The blonde learned that because of this habit, the girl was sent into exile. The thief explained that she was simply obeying her parents because they wanted her to travel. Langaro recalled that in society this is called exile. The guest asked what kind of false accusations were made against her. Olivia zealously argued that she did not touch other people's things. The guy suggested that that was why she touched someone else's husband. Olivia Winchester was the second daughter of the Marquis of Northland. The girl attended the third season of public events, but until then she was still single. The guy remembered that her hobbies were attending horse races or admiring paintings. Langaro recalled that for this reason, rumors arose about her affair with the racetrack manager Robin. The blonde recalled that the girl then left the state, but the date of her return was never known. The guy asked the lady if he had made a mistake in something. Olivia's face was filled with silent horror. Memories took our heroine to the times when she was still called Letitia. A girl with blonde hair explained to our heroine that she does not trust men. While drinking tea, the blonde explained that she only wanted their special heredity. Robin Amand was born into a poor family of barons abroad, but he was lucky that the only daughter of Prince Hirschbent chose him. Larissa. Letitia asked if her friend was worried, but she explained that she is not worried about the rumors that are circulating around the guy, and she claimed that her father would do anything for her. According to a friend, the father loved his daughter very much and had an equally strong disgust for his son-in-law. It was not surprising for a man that such trash behaved like trash. Unfortunately, the girl's father could not do anything, because the guy was also a man. The man watched with contempt from the window as he cared for his daughter. The man got rid of all the girls that were with Robin instead of her, and they didn't even think about approaching them anymore. The girl noticed that Olivia had gone completely crazy, committing such acts brazenly without a twinge of conscience. The man suggested that the guest was only interested in someone else's property. He dryly and theatrically sympathized with the girl. Smiling, the princess explained to the thief that she would have to go with them. Writhing like a snake in the hands of a servant, Olivia tried to prove that she could explain everything. Our heroine was surprised that the guest was still behaving so impudently, although they were not in Northland. Smiling, the blonde explained that there was a slight hitch, but the tea party was not over yet. The princess shared that a concert was taking place near the fountain, and wished everyone to enjoy the wonderful music. Rose gave the party organizer the stolen brush. Having bowed, the princess left. The brunette's eyes flashed with hope that the princess would be able to find her hairpin. For Letitia, it didn't make much difference if she lost it. But at the same time, the girl was very worried that the accessory was bought with His Majesty's money. Our heroine understood that this accessory belonged to the prince, so it would need to be returned. Longan suddenly approached and addressed the lady. The girl shuddered in surprise. He asked for forgiveness for scaring her. Smiling, the brunette asked what he wanted. The guy said that Sionian wanted to see her. The blonde invited the girl to go inside. Rose became very nervous when she addressed His Highness. Sion asked what she was thinking when she did this. The guy said that its value will be lost the moment it is revealed. Deep sky-blue eyes pierced our heroine through and through. The prince explained that this was too hasty a decision. Bowing her head, the brunette asked for forgiveness. She insisted that she had not planned this. The girl promised to be more careful in the future so that this would not happen again. Zion lifted the brunette's face and noticed that she was quite talented. The blonde explained that he noticed how the girl got used to the role with poses and intonations. He explained that it was dangerous, but he was willing to forgive her. The guy noticed how his friend resisted her enemy without hesitation. The prince leaned more comfortably on the back of the sofa. The girl asked if he really found out that Olivia would be at today's tea party. The prince asked if his answer would change anything. Letitia knew very well the reason why she had to attend the tea party. The girl realized that the blonde was testing Anna Rose, and at the same time wanted to see if Letitia would cope with her past. The guy asked what she would do if she didn't find the missing items. Rose explained that she was sure this would happen. The brunette also assured that the situation definitely showed this. But just in case the evidence wasn't enough, she would have come up with another plan. The countess knew that Olivia told only one truth. The thief really didn't steal the brushes, since the brunette herself did it. Our heroine prepared herself so that the thief had no chance of retreat. Smiling, the blonde noticed that it was quite cruel on her part. Rose asked the prince why he helped her. The blonde asked how it was. Zion asked the brunette if she would have straightened the glass if she thought it was about to fall. Rose was a little depressed, realizing that the guy really treated her like a pawn. The girl did not understand what she expected knowing this. The blonde noticed that she had that expression on her face again. Our heroine asked what he was talking about. Zion noticed her hot eyes and asked if she really missed him and wanted him. The prince noticed that the girl resembled the one who trembled in his arms and trembled under him. The blonde sat Rose on his lap and asked if his guesses were true. Closing her eyes, the girl admitted that she was very bored. She was grateful because he gave her warmth and support that the girl had not felt for a long time. Rose remembered that it was already a year ago. The girl asked the blonde if he liked her then. The blonde asked if she really wanted to hear the same thing in response. Having thrown the girl onto the sofa, he remembered that she was just as annoying, and that also craves attention, but then is afraid if it is given. The guy asked why he had to miss her. The prince explained that he could get himself a brunette at any time. The girl reminded that she could get anyone herself if she wanted it. The girl suggested that she assumed that the prince simply felt sorry for her. Gently rubbing his nose against her ear, the guy explained to Letitia that she was thinking too much. Holding the girl, the blonde whispered that her head was so full that the words came out on their own. He explained that you couldn't say that you missed her as much as she missed him. The prince shared that he wanted to see her, because her eyes looked like violets and the pity in them overflowed. The guy asked the girl to give up his self-flagellation as an old habit. Looking at her lover with sapphire eyes, our heroine admitted that it was difficult for her to do this herself. The prince explained that he could only help her in one way. He lowered his dress from his luxurious chest. The guy gently kissed her neck. He said that he would have to insist until she threw all thoughts away. The prince asked if she missed it.